At first glance, what could the breaker be planning next? Only time will tell. Well, if you enjoyed in today's video, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. Also follow my socials, so take it an easy fit. Fam, and watch your step if you're near Spawn. Alright, YouTube channel, and despite him being Russian, he does speak English, so I asked him why. Why form an entire group dedicated to removing these blocks? To paraphrase what he said, he told me that it's his belief that deleting Bedrock will cause the server's lengthy queue times to go down. In his eyes, the biggest reason people join 2B2T is to see digital history for themselves. And if that history is destroyed, they won't have a reason to join anymore, making the queue more manageable. Now, I obviously don't agree with the group's viewpoint on this, but because it's an anarchy server, it is their choice to do it. The server's queue times have been down recently, but for completely unrelated reasons most of you are already aware of. But as long as the portal breaking method remains unpatched, illegally placed blocks and random Bedrock will continue to be destroyed. It just goes to show you that on a server with no rules, everyone has their own motivations for doing what might seem trivial or pointless. Unofficial record, but small enough that it wouldn't be completely tedious and time-consuming to create. They got to work by modifying the area to allow new nether portals to spawn at Bedrock, since 0 is completely covered in water. Griefers and papers were not too much of an issue. Ironically, the very same thing that once kept the Bedrock comet safe was now keeping a Bedrock destruction project protected as well. Kind of funny. If you think about it, in only a few weeks they managed to widen the hole to fill 4 entire chunks or a 2x2 area. The fact that a hole this big still exists months later is crazy, since traditionally Housemaster has attempted to patch a lot of these gaps leading into the void. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we need to talk about the true reason this group was created, since the breaker continues to hunt down ancient relics in order to destroy them with the portal breaking method. I decided to get in touch with OffX. He has his own. Eventually, their group had destroyed most of the public Bedrock sites and portal blocks, so out of boredom they began targeting regular end portals as well, cutting off access to the end dimension for the general public. When this became boring for them, they began writing names in the natural the Bedrock of 2B2T itself, with multiple people helping. OffX was the first name they managed to complete, but this graffiti of sorts made them realize something. If they could make holes in the ground this easily, what was stopping them from making a giant one leading directly into the void? There was actually a small hole in Bedrock already located at 0-0 in the overworld, so it seemed like the perfect place to start expanding. They would call it Operation Overvoid, since a hole in Bedrock already existed in at least one other location on the server. They wanted to make theirs even larger. They decided to have it take up 4 total chunks would be a good size. It was large enough to take the griefers that attempted to destroy the Bedrock comet back in 2020. After seeing Bedrock deletion was back, he came up with an idea. What if together they formed a group dedicated to removing all forms of illegal Bedrock across the entire server? No matter how insignificant, Bananchik liked the idea, and so both players would found the breaker with the name based off the act of breaking blocks. The reason they wanted to create this group is quite fascinating, but we'll get to that near the end of the video. In their Discord, they compiled a list of all known Bedrock sites and began traveling there to delete them. Since many of these sites contained only a few pieces, it didn't take long to use portals to remove them. Eventually, they started targeting other unbreakable blocks as well, such as illegally placed in portal frames. If you've seen any videos on my channel regarding illegal structures over the past few years, there's a good chance they were removed by the breaker portal to spawn over pre-existing blocks, which causes the bottom portion to replace whatever was there. This includes things such as Bedrock and End portal. Frame to create a space with the dimensions 4 by 6 by 1 roughly. What a small nether portal should be, but with the bottom section including the block that you want to delete by forcing the portal to spawn there, you can erase pretty much any block in the game. Using this method, Bedrock decided to make a name for himself by attempting to remove the bedrock dam that had previously been targeted. It took a lot of effort considering the dam itself had a decent amount of bedrock in it, and getting the setup just right was time-consuming. But on July 26, 2021, he managed to spawn another portal that deleted the final piece. After almost an entire decade, the final bedrock structure was removed from Ziggy Town. This destruction caught the attention of one of Bedrock's friends, a Russian player named Offix. He had actually been one up to be erased. Knowing that the comet would be next, a group of guardians came in and surrounded the entire build with a water cube to keep it safe. This method actually worked for a while, but eventually the griefers fought off these guardians in one final battle and ended up being successful in deleting the bedrock comet. But before they could start on the dam, which was the last of the 3 structures, the server's admin Housemaster ended up removing all known methods of breaking bedrock effectively, saving it from destruction. After this battle, it seemed the era of breaking bedrock was finally over, but on a server with no rules, exploits are never truly gone forever. The following year, in 2021, a Russian 2B2T player named Bedrock was surprised to learn that an old-school method of breaking bedrock, nicknamed the portal breaking method, actually still worked on the server. How it works is that you force a nether rayon.com/firms to get up to 20% off your orders, a great way to support the channel. Now then, let's get started. Now, breaking bedrock on 2B2T is not exactly a new the concept. It's been done plenty of times throughout the server's history, but having a large amount of bedrock disappearing recently is actually a big deal. To give you a better understanding, there's a specific event we need to talk about that happened a while back. It was called the Battle of Ziggy Town. The Ziggy Town was a base that was founded in 2012, and the players there managed to get their hands on placeable bedrock, something that shouldn't be possible to obtain in survival mode. They would use it to construct 3 separate builds: a bedrock comet, a bedrock bunker, and a bedrock dam. Despite the base eventually being griefed, these structures survived. But in 2020, several players attempted to use bedrock deletion exploits to remove these builds entirely. Since it was the smallest, the bunker was the first to disappear all across 2B2T. We'll discuss the surprisingly simple the method they are using to get rid of it, and we'll examine their reasons for wanting to do this in the first place. It turns out this bedrock breaking is actually part of a larger conflict that's been going on for quite some time. Before we get started, I'd like to thank Rayon for sponsoring today's video. I used to use my rayons in the gym, but since I've been marathon training, they've been my go-to earbuds for running. As well, the new everyday earbuds have an improved look and feel by using optimized gel tips for that perfect in-ear fit. Rayons offer 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life. There's also a built-in mic so you can take calls at the press of a button, and best of all, rayons start at half the price of other premium audio brands, but they sound just as good and come with a 45-day happiness guarantee. I have found them to be very useful, so to get your own pair, click the link in the description or go to buy. Deep in the heart of spawn on the oldest anarchy server in Minecraft, something highly unusual has appeared at the bottom of the world. A large hole in bedrock leading directly into the void. It's so large that it takes up 4 entire chunks worth of space. This was not caused by an accident or a server error, but by a group of Russian players with one goal destroying Bedrock all over the server, and we aren't just talking about holes in the ground or writing player names like this one they've spent the past year removing entire builds constructed with illegally obtained Bedrock. Some of these deleted builds are from nearly 10 years ago. They have rediscovered a Bedrock breaking, a technique that is quite old but surprisingly still works on a large amount of servers. Now, of course, the question is why? What motivates people to unite for the sole purpose of removing a specific block in Minecraft? Well, today we'll uncover why a group of players that calls themselves the Breaker are causing Bedrock